All right, we welcome in this week's guest, who is actually currently live at the Mary Nutter. But before we even talk about that, we got to tell Tara Henry thank you. And why do we need to tell Tara Henry thank you? Well, from a podcaster side, you're always looking for content before the season starts, right? What am I going to talk about? Projected lineups, what this team's going to look like, all that. Oh, wait. D1softball.com has the best 100 players in the game. They've got their own set of preseason rankings. Tara Henry makes my job easy on the Diamond Envy podcast. So thank you. I know I speak for a lot of people, Tara. Thank you for fueling us with the softball coverage that we want before, during, and even after the season. You're awesome.
You're so welcome. Anything we can do to help, we're always here for you. We love it. It's year round, and anything, obviously a lot of that is the Sooners, but year round, we're here for you.
Yeah. D1softball.com. Go subscribe. Trust me, it's worth the money. Now, you just sent me a message about 10 minutes ago. I wasn't surprised to see it, but I wasn't happy to see it because the weather is, it kind of seems like it's the main talking point out there right now. Just update us on what the latest is, how many games we think we might be able to get in. Like, I guess play weather forecaster here for us.
I'm not a meteorologist, and the weather does seem to be a huge topic right now, but I'm guessing it's probably from all of the California folks because we're playing. I don't see any reason to not play. There was some showers when I walked up today, but I was just sitting outside and had to take my parka off because it got so hot. I think we're going to get the games in, as many as possible. And I know the grounds crew and the staff here are working day in, day out tirelessly to make sure that these games get in. Can't control Mother Nature. But like I said, I walked up and it was raining pretty good, but the sun is out just before I came in for this interview.
So OU plays 4 games before they actually play UCLA. But, it's the game that everyone's looking forward to. It's the game I think nationally everyone's looking forward to. Can you put into perspective, it's just one regular season game, but how big this is? They're the number 1 and the number 2 teams. I think that they're the 2 titans of the sport at this point. Just how big is it that OU and UCLA, and I know they played last year and they played in Oklahoma City as well, but how big is this for these 2 programs to be meeting this weekend?
Well, it's huge. And to be honest, Tyler, this is the first time we've ranked OU, none other than 1 in 2 years. So last time was 2 years ago. So to have that type of a matchup Sunday morning, an early Sunday morning matchup between those 2 teams, 2 powerhouses, I can't say enough about this early season test for both sides. And, I've watched the Sooners. I've watched Oklahoma in that first weekend, and then I was able to travel out to Clearwater and see the Bruins in person. And it's going to be a heavyweight fight. It's going to come down to good pitching and timely hitting. And, we talked a little bit about the Sooners, and I'm really concerned with the free passes that they've been giving up as of late. Mm-hmm. And I know that's something that can be shored up. And the offense, there seems to be something off about that offense, but I can assure you it's going to be quite a matchup here on Sunday morning. And I know everybody's excited for it.
Yeah, you were out there in Irvine first weekend of the season. You mentioned the walks. Absolutely. The offense, it's just, it's the realization that the all-time home run leader is not in the middle of that order anymore, though there were some nice things that happened offensively in Waco last weekend. What were your other takeaways from that weekend in Irvine, other than the 2 things you already said?
I think they're just settling in, and it was great. I just was over at Wrigley Field and saw Jocelyn Alo and Nicole Mendez. Both of those 2 are calling on Flow Sports this week here at the Mary Nutter, so make sure you all support them. But, again, I think the walks were the biggest, kind of glaring note for me. But, it's tough. It's tough to replace a player like Jocelyn Alo. She was not only – obviously the home run leader, but I think her leadership and her ability to bring that team together. So I'm waiting to see who steps up. Is that a Haley Lee? Kinsey Hansen is back this weekend, so we'll get to see her play and be back. And is it her? Is it a Jordy Ball? Is it an Alex Storako? So I think what we're all looking for is to see which one of those Sooners steps up and steps into that role, not only getting it done at the plate and in the field, but as a leader.
Sophomore slump is, anyone that's ever watched college sports, has heard that before. Do you think Jordy Ball's going through that? Are you worried about her at all? Or do you think that sooner rather than later, she's going to get it figured out?
Jordy Ball's a competitor, and people can talk about a sophomore slump. They can talk about her not being the Jordy that she was, but we also have to remember she was going through some injuries last season. So I think just easing her back in, and what I do love about Coach Gasso is that her ability in the beginning of the season to kind of figure out who's got what. She's going to leave Jordy in there and figure out if she can get the job done. But I wouldn't be too worried. It's still an incredible staff and a lineup that is pretty explosive and powerful. But I wouldn't be worried just yet in our third week of the season.
OU, like I said, they're going to play Fullerton on Friday. They're going to play A&M on Friday. They're going to play some other games this weekend. OU and UCLA 1 and 2. Would you say A&M is maybe the third best team out at Mary Nutter, or would you say someone else?
Well, we got Florida out here.
Yeah.
A&M's here. There's a great game going on right now. San Diego State, Cal State Fullerton, Missouri's here, Washington's here. I think you can take a look at the lineup. There's 30 teams at this tournament. Just under 30 teams, and ASU pulled out early, along with Iowa State. Those two are not here, but other than that, it's quite the lineup. And like I said, Kentucky, Washington just had a great game, a wild extra inning, 8-inning game that just went on. So again, same as it's always is. This is one of the best, if not the best, tournaments in the country, and it has been for decades.
I know you've probably answered this quite a bit, but we haven't addressed this very much on this podcast just because we're looking kind of towards the SEC, but UCLA, they got a big change coming up as well. How do you view the shift for OU to the SEC? I think there's definitely some positives. It's going to be absolutely more of a challenge. What's the dynamics behind UCLA now going to play in the Big Ten? What does that look like from their side of things?
Well, I think it's going to be very cold for them. I don't know if the Bruins are.
Probably.
The Bruins aren't used to playing in those climates, but it's great for the Big Ten in all sports. And I think in terms of softball, it's going to be a lot of travel. And I've spoken to Coach Inouye Perez. I've spoken to various coaches across the Big Ten. And the Big Ten coaches are excited because they get to come out to California. The weather isn't great right now, but in general, the weather is great here. So it's going to be a big change. I'm not quite sure how that's going to go, but that travel schedule is the one I'm most concerned with, and traveling across the country every week for conference play. So we've got another year to kind of look at that and dive into that. But the biggest thing is going to be that travel issue and how these kids continue to be student athletes, because we still remember they're also students. So how they're students first and then athletes.
You watched UCLA last week, and you're very familiar with that program, obviously. But when I think of UCLA, I think of, they're going to have a power pitcher in the circle, someone that's going to get a lot of strikeouts. They're going to have power in the middle of the order, and top to bottom of their order, they're a bunch of tough outs that don't strike out very well. Is that just UCLA once again this year? Is that basically what they look like, or have you seen something different?
I think there's some truth to that, but I also think this is a young team. It's a good mix of veterans and freshmen. There are some freshmen that have stepped up in a big way, and you've got freshmen at the corners. And those two, I don't know if you can still hear me, Tyler. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
When you're looking at Megan Grant and Jordan Woolery, for those two to be the cornerstones as freshmen, that's incredible. And then to add an arm in Brooke Inez in the circle to back up a Megan Faremo. But I don't think people talk about her enough, Charlize Palacios, because having her behind the dish and having her call pitches and work in tandem with Megan Faremo has been really impressive to see. And I think we don't talk enough about Char and what a game changer she is. I'd argue that this is the best I've seen the Bruins in a while, and I don't say that lightly because I think I'd arguably probably the most critical. But they're off to a really good start, and we'll see if they can keep that.
Kinsey Hansen's going to be back for OU this weekend, and that's something that maybe I don't talk about enough with, what this team has looked like so far. I think Patty said that she's not going to be behind the plate necessarily, but it sounds like she's going to get some at-bats. I mean, you at D1 softball, you all had her as a top 50 player. I think maybe even a little bit higher than that. Just how much of a boost is that going to be? Getting Kinzie Hansen back, who I think, if you do a postseason list, could absolutely end up as a top 15 player at the end of the year.
Well, yeah, we have her ranked as our number one catcher in Division I softball, so that's a huge impact player. Her and Char, like we just talked about, Charlize Palacios with UCLA. So getting her back is going to be huge. And again, I think that leadership piece is important, and having someone like Kinzie Hansen in the lineup, we're going to ease her in. I'm guessing she's going to ease her in, but yeah, I think that's something to keep an eye on, and maybe help with a little bit of that, because like we said, they've been a little bit off. So maybe she'll help be that glue and bring that team together.
Last one I have for you. You're sitting live in the press box right now. And I think from the OU side of things, you always say, well, the Mary Nutter's going to be tough. And, you're probably going to play UCLA out there. I mean, you cover the sport as a whole. Where does the Mary Nutter rank in terms of just overall regular season tournaments that we see in the sport? Is it number one? Or if it's not, is it near the top? Like, what do you think?
I think it's one or two. I think Clearwater, which I was just at last week, is another clear contender. But the Mary Nutter is always a tournament that, teams fly in from all over the country to play in this tournament, and they have done so for a very long time. I've been to Clearwater. I've been to Mary Nutter. You can't quite replicate the family experience that you have here.
Mm-hmm.
We got loads of travel ball teams out here. You can get a tri-tip sandwich. You can bring your dog. You can have a tent up. I think it's just a little bit more space and room. And maybe I'm nostalgic and I'm a little bit biased because this is a tournament that I know and love, but it can't be replicated. And again, I've been to tournaments throughout the country, and I truly believe that this is the pinnacle of it, and just a really special place that I hope most athletes get to play at in their career.
She's Tara Henry, managing editor of D1softball.com. Thank you as always. Get nostalgic this weekend. It's okay. It's an awesome weekend with a lot of great softball out there. It's all right. Have fun, because the crowds that we've seen here recently, especially last year, I don't think that's going to slow down anytime soon out there. And you know what? Isn't it a cool thing? How can you not get nostalgic about that? It's awesome.
No, you can. I mean, we got arguably, 6,000 walking in and out of the gates, and a couple thousand watching a game. It's pretty special. But yeah, thank you so much, Tyler, for having me. Would love to come back anytime you guys need me.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk soon. See ya.
Thanks, Tyler.